Thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Good morning. We are so blessed at this center to have an amazing music team. Our musicians, our performers, who every single week knock it out of the park. This morning, I want to especially cite, a lot of times we hear different songs here. The song this morning is absolutely a New Thought song. And here's how I know this. I watched the video yesterday, and there's a screen clip that I'm going to show you from the video, and it's this. Do you recognize a word there? Do you recognize it repeated over and over? This is a screen clip from the video of this song, Just Do You. I am passionate, I am determined, I am a leader, I am creative. The entire song is a New Thought song. So thank you to Mindy for bringing that to us. And thank you to Emily for bringing it to the next step. So I want to look at a couple of the lyrics in this song, because when I heard this on Friday, when Mindy said, this is what I want us to perform this weekend, these are the words that I looked at, and I look at them on the screen. Just do you, somebody's got to be a star. Just do you, somebody's got to raise the bar. Just do you, somebody's got to change the game. Just do you today. Do you see anything, a pattern there? A word maybe that sticks out to you? What's the word? You. I did a word cloud where you put into software, how many times does the word appear? The word you appears in this song 29 times, hence why it's so big in the song. The reason I mention this is because this is all about Expression Month. Who gets to express? You. What I want to share with you this morning, I think too often we allow other people to say what we can express. I am here today to remind you that it is you that gets to express. Now, what is also interesting about the song, when I'm looking at the title of the song is called Just Do You. So there's another word that kind of piques my curiosity, is the word just. And I was playing with that, thinking about what does just mean to me, and I looked it up because I knew, we all use this word a lot of times. I'm just this, I'm just that. And so we use it in a way that minimizes things. And this is, in fact, one of the key definitions, the way the word just is defined. Barely, a little, simply, only, no more than. For me, that resonates. I think so often, I think of myself this way. I think of myself as, this is me, and I'll be a little bit more than me. I'll be barely, no more than. And I think this is so common. And, when I look at why is this so, we come into the world as children with this amazing energy, with this amazing consciousness of knowing who we are. And then we get taught things. And our family teaches us. Our family can influence us in how we express ourselves. Aaron and I are watching The Golden Bachelor. And this week, it's a really good show. We watched the other one too, but this one is really good. The lead character, the guy, is an amazing, compassionate person. It's lovely to watch. But the reason I mention it here is one of the women that he's dating has a lot of rules. And I suspect those rules came from her family. In fact, she tells someone like, no, you can't express yourself this way. Because when you express yourself this way, it hurts me. It makes me feel this way. And the other person, like, we're talking about this going, is that reasonable? And we both came to the conclusion, like, this woman has way too many rules. And I suspect they came from her family. One of the other places that rules can come from is in society. Society can influence how we express ourselves. If you look at this image, this is, of course, an influencer. There's an entire category of people now whose job it is to say, this is how you should live your life. This person is probably doing a makeup tutorial so that other girls will do their makeup like her. So they're not expressing themselves as they are. They're expressing themselves based on what she tells them. So again, family influences us and society influences us. So then we have this whole cloud out there that says this is what you should do. Ernest Holmes said there is a tendency on the part of all of us to reproduce the accumulated subjective experiences of the human race. He's talking about race thought, race consciousness, which is this idea that everything is out there. We are susceptible, and if we don't watch our minds, if we don't watch how we express ourselves, we start living ourselves from that thinking. There's another formative thinker who had something to say about this, and that's Thomas Troward. He said, our further evolution, he's talking about us as individuals, not as a society. Us as individuals, our evolution is not into a state of less activity, but of greater. Not into being less alive, but more alive. Not into being less ourselves, but more ourselves. And by the way, this is probably one of the shortest Troward sentences you'll ever read. And I also like to think of that image of that tree. That could also be a diagram of a typical Troward sentence. So we know what that other definition of the word just is, but there's another one, and this is the one that I want to live my life from, and it's this: exactly. So it means exactly be you, exactly do you. And so the title of my talk this morning is absolutely, especially do you. So that's my definition of exactly, is absolutely, especially do you. This morning we had a great demonstration of this, in that the quantum field wants your unique expression exactly as you are. Look at that little diagram. Those are all little dots that are all connecting each other. Think about what Dr. Tiffany shared about the song this morning. That song started this morning because earlier in the week, Mindy had the opportunity to say, this is the song that we should sing. So that's one dot there. And then Dr. Tiffany connects to her, and she takes it to where she wants to express, and it brings something out in her. I hear it, and I'm suddenly lit up. Like, I swear, when I'm watching this and I'm on the Apple Music, the little lyrics are playing, I'm like, this is the greatest New Thought song I've ever heard. Probably until next week, and then I'll hear another one. But this is what happens. And then this morning, Emily is another dot and connects it and does so amazingly well with the song, so beautifully sung. That is what happens in the quantum field. So this is my admonition to everyone, is think about what is yours uniquely to express. Think of that as your quantum uniqueness. It is your advantage. It's what makes you stand out from every other person, so that you're not an influencer. You are uniquely you. And it is the spark for someone else. Mindy singing that song was the spark for Dr. Tiffany, for me, for Emily. This is not only how you express yourself, but you become the spark for someone else to express themselves and be who they uniquely are. Ernest Holmes said, there is but one mind. Each individual, however, like these twins, is a unique version in the universe. No two people are alike, and yet all people are rooted in that which is identical. I go back to the song. If you create the game, then you create the rules. The earliest time I can think of when I had the opportunity to express exactly who I was when I was in high school. My dad was in the military, and my last 2 years of high school, we moved to Hawaii. I was fortunate to go to a school that embraced people expressing who they were. And when I got there, this is actually a picture of the school. This is Punahou School in Honolulu, Hawaii. When I got to the school, I had previously been in theater when we lived in Virginia. So when I came to Hawaii, I thought, oh, I'm going to do it here too. Well, I get there, and I discover that the drama teacher, who was a great teacher, very nice guy, but if you've ever been in any sort of theater in high school, you know that drama teachers often have their favorite, or the people who over and over appear in all the shows. So when I get there, there is literally not an opportunity for me to express myself. Or so I thought. As I said, this is a school that embraced and encouraged us to show who we were, to express who we were. So we went to the administration, we said, this guy's doing a great job, but there's a group of us that want to create our own theater company. Now think about that. Going to a school and saying, we want you to embrace an alternative to the guy you already pay. And they did. They said, all right, come back to us with a business plan. Come back and tell us how much it would cost. And we did. We went to them, and they said, all right, do it. This is a picture from my yearbook of the group that we started because we chose to express ourselves. I'll show you a picture of me in a second. You won't be able to make it out here. But this is a group of people who decided to express themselves. Hint, it's not the guy with the circle. That's my yearbook. He was circling like, hey, remember me? So the last 2 years of school, we put together several plays. We did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I was Charlie Brown. And then we did a show called See How They Run and Private Lives, which I'd forgotten this long ago. They are apparently 2 shows that are actually done in, is it called repertoire? Yeah. So this is now a picture of the show that we did, actually 2 pictures. So this is very exciting for me because I get to stand here and talk about theater and my hair. But you can see the picture of me on the left. That's me right up there. And I was looking at that in the yearbook yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, I can't remember a time when I had gray hair like that. All right, so we're done talking about my hair and theater now. But I want to go back to this idea. If you create the game, then you create the rules. So that leaves us with a question. How do you create the game? Ask the right questions. I am blessed now to be working with Dr. James on bringing his book, The 5 Questions, into the world. And many of you, if you've done one of his workshops, you know what the 5th question is, right? Do you know how great you are? When you know how great you are, you don't need anyone else to tell you how to express yourself. You know exactly how to express yourself. Around this time that I was in high school, there was a movie I saw, and it has been probably like one of the most influential movies of my life. I can go back and watch this movie over and over. There are scenes in it, I know exactly word for word what's going to happen. I will cry every time I see one particular scene in this movie between a son and a father. But the reason I share this with you is because there's a character in this movie who does know how great he is. And it's this character. I'm talking about the movie Superman with Christopher Reeve in 1978. I got the chance to see this on opening weekend when I lived in Hawaii. Look at the look on his face. This character, this person, knows how great he is. Because when you think about it, he is someone who knows that inwardly, this is who he is. He is Superman. He knows that. He knows all of the amazing things that he can do, that he can fly, that he can leap over buildings, he can stop bullets. He knows he's this person, and yet he presents to the world as this person for reasons that make sense for him. But here's my question. How many of us go through our life and we live our lives as Clark Kent? We present that way when we know that we are this guy. And this guy absolutely remembers who he is. He knows that's who he is. So I go back to the question, do you know how great you are? There's a scene in this movie that is about halfway through the movie. And up until this point in the movie, we've only seen glimpses of Superman, the character. But halfway through, there is a necessity, a need for him to finally be Superman because Lois Lane is in trouble. Her helicopter is dangling on the side of a building. He comes out of the building, looks up and sees she needs someone. She needs help. And so he does something that, it's interesting. This moment that I'm going to show you in a second is an iconic moment. And I know this because if you look through any stock photo library, this particular image you will see everywhere. And I think it's profound for a reason. And this is the image. When he knows that she's in trouble, he is Clark Kent, and he runs into that building, and he goes through the circular door, and he comes out, and he does this. And now he is Superman. That image of someone ripping their shirt open to reveal, this is who I am, this is what's mine to express, that is a profoundly iconic image, I believe, because it reminds us that all of us inside are that person. All of us have that capability, and all of us know what is ours to do, what is ours to express. A couple of scenes after this moment, there's, I think, probably one of the greatest moments in this movie, and again, summarizes my point exactly. Superman has gone on a date with Lois Lane. They've flown all over Metropolis, and they return, and in the same moment, Clark Kent, so actual Clark Kent, shows up at the door, knocks on the door, and Lois is completely smitten with Superman and doesn't even hear anything Clark says. Clark comes in, and has a decision to make because he sees she's in love with this other guy, and he wants that for himself. And he has to make a decision. Am I going to tell her who I am? And there's a moment, and I'm going to show you this. This is 3 shots from this scene. This is why I think this performance is so brilliant. This is that moment. So on the left, this is first when he's Clark Kent. And then he makes a decision to take off his glasses, and he's going to tell her. And look at how he is standing on the right. That's because he knows who he is. In that moment, he knows he is Superman. He knows what is his to express. To me, I will think of that all the time. When I think of myself, sometimes I'm like this, and sometimes that's how I decide to express. And what I need to remember is that it is that version of all of us that is always accessible to us when we remember. So I go back to that question. Do you know how great you are? Dr. Tiffany on Wednesday night shared in the class that we were doing, Radical Compassion. She asked all of us, we did an experiential where she said, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to listen to the question and write down the first thing that comes to you. Don't think about it, just write down whatever comes to you right away. We did this, and I followed exactly what she said. And afterwards, when we were talking about it, I said, this is really powerful for me because I did write down literally the first thing. And I looked at it and said, absolutely, that is right. Had I spent more time thinking about it, I would have talked myself out of that. I would have talked myself out of saying that was the right way to express myself. So I'd love to, with her permission, lead us all into that same kind of exercise. So what I want to do is ask you to place your hands on your heart. And imagine that you know that underneath your hands is that metaphorical symbol of your power. That is who you are. That is your greatness. And I'm going to now ask you a question. And when you hear the question, whatever comes to your mind, just think it. You don't have to say it out loud, but know that that is your answer to express. My question is this: what is mine to express? Whatever the first answer that came to you, that is the right answer. That is your heart. That is who you are, knowing that that is right for you. So with your hands on your heart still, knowing that this is the power, the source of who you are, I'm going to bring back words from the song. And I want you to know what is yours to express with your hands on your heart, knowing that it is absolutely possible, and listen to these words from the song. I heard a voice that told me I'm essential, how all my fears are limiting my potential. Said it's time to step into the light and use every bit of the power I have inside. And I invite you now to open your eyes and know that what is yours to do, that power inside of you is always accessible to you, always available, and it is yours to use in every moment when you remember to express yourself. And remember that it is always best to absolutely, especially do you. Namaste.